Professor Velthar's antennae twitched with barely contained excitement as he addressed the cultural exchange class at the Galactic Consortium University. The semester-long project had finally arrived, the one assignment that separated mere students from true scholars of xenoanthropology. "Your task," the elderly Krathen announced, his 4 eyes scanning the diverse assembly of species before him, "is to recreate a piece of ancient armor from your homeworld's pre-spaceflight era. You will present it in 3 cycles, along with a historical analysis of its significance." Around the amphitheater, students began murmuring. The Vorlaxian delegation immediately started discussing their ceremonial shell plating from the Third Tide Wars. A group of Zenthi whispered about crystalline defense matrices from their cavern-dwelling ancestors. Even the usually stoic Kraken representatives seemed engaged, no doubt contemplating their people's famous bioorganic carapace designs. In the back row, Marcus Chen sat quietly, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The Yulnari student beside him, a being of flowing mercury-like substance named Shilix, rippled with curiosity. "Human Marcus, you seem amused. This assignment carries significant grade weight." Marcus's smile widened. "Oh, I'm not worried about the grade. You have already completed research on your species' ancient armor?" Shilix's form brightened with interest. "I have read of your knight armor. Primitive iron plating, yes? Quite heavy, I understand." "Something like that," Marcus replied, gathering his materials as the class dismissed. 3 cycles passed quickly. The presentation hall had been transformed into a museum of warfare. The Vorlaxians had constructed an impressive replica of Tide Warrior armor, complete with pressure-resistant plating that gleamed under the artificial lights. The Zenthi presented a crystalline lattice structure that refracted light into defensive patterns. The Kraken bio-carapace demonstration included living tissue samples that hardened on command. Professor Velthar moved from exhibit to exhibit, his hover platform humming softly. He offered critiques and praise in equal measure, clearly pleased with the quality of work. The students had outdone themselves, some even bringing functional replicas that demonstrated the engineering principles of their ancient warriors. "And now," Velthar announced, consulting his data slate, "we come to our human representative. Student Chen, please present your work." Marcus stood from his position at the far end of the hall. Unlike the other students who had set up elaborate displays, his area was covered with a simple dark cloth draped over something roughly human-sized. He walked to the front, and several students noticed something odd. He moved with a different gait than usual, more careful, as if carrying extra weight. "Professor." "Fellow students," Marcus began, his voice steady. "When you assigned us to recreate ancient armor, I faced a unique problem." He paused, letting the translation matrix catch up for all species present. "You see, humans have a somewhat different relationship with our past than most species in the consortium." Shilix rippled with confusion. "Different how, human Marcus?" Marcus's expression grew serious. "Most of your civilizations archived your warrior cultures carefully. Museums, data vaults, ceremonial preservation. Your ancient wars are studied through fragments, archaeological digs, and historical records." He walked toward his covered display. "Humans, though, we never really stopped fighting." "Not completely." A uncomfortable silence fell over the hall. "My family has a tradition," Marcus continued, gripping the edge of the cloth. "My great-great-great-grandfather served in what we called World War II. His father served in World War I. His father before him in various colonial conflicts. The tradition goes back centuries." He pulled the cloth away. Beneath stood a figure in full combat armor, but not the medieval plate mail the other students had expected. This was modern military tactical gear, or rather, what appeared modern by human standards but was clearly weathered, used, and disturbingly recent. The armor was composite ceramic and Kevlar plating, scarred with impact marks. The helmet showed a visible crater where something had struck but failed to penetrate. Dark stains, unmistakably organic, marked the chest plate and left shoulder. Various pouches and attachments hung from a tactical vest that had seen hard use. "This," Marcus said quietly, "is my armor, from the Martian independence conflict 15 years ago. I wore it during the Olympus Mons siege. These dents," he pointed to the chest plate, "are from separatist railgun fragments. This burn mark is from a plasma grenade that detonated 2 meters away." He touched the shoulder stain. "This is my blood, from when shrapnel got through the neck seal." Professor Velthar's antennae had gone completely still. a sign of deep shock in his species. Marcus continued, his voice taking on a lecturer's tone. You asked us to recreate ancient armor. But here's what makes humans different. For us, ancient is a moving target. This armor is already outdated. We've developed 3 new generations since then. But the principle remains the same as it was for our Bronze Age ancestors, our medieval knights, our World War soldiers. He rapped his knuckles against the scarred plating. We build protection, we go to war, we survive, we build better protection. A Vorlaxian student's vocal sac inflated with distress. But you are currently at peace. The consortium verified this before accepting humans. We're at peace with external threats, Marcus acknowledged. But humans have never achieved total peace among ourselves. Not for lack of trying, understand? We have long periods of relative calm, but conflict is woven into our history in a way that most consortium species find disturbing. He gestured to the armor. So when you asked me to recreate ancient armor, I had to make a choice. Professor Velthar finally found his voice. Student Chen, I had expected a replica, a museum piece. This is authentic, Marcus supplied. Yes, Professor, and that brings me to your question. He met the professor's 4 eyes steadily. You asked us to recreate ancient armor. I brought mine. The assignment didn't specify how ancient. For humans, 15 years is ancient history. We've already moved on to the next conflict, the next threat, the next evolution. The hall was silent. Marcus reached into a container beside the display and pulled out cleaning supplies. You also have a choice, Professor. For my presentation, do you want this armor cleaned? He held up a polishing cloth. Or do you want it presented as it is, blood-stained and authentic? Because that's the real difference between humans and most species here. Our ancient armor isn't safely locked in museums. It's in our closets, our attics, passed down through families, still stained with the evidence of our nature. Professor Velthar stared at the scarred armor for a long moment. Finally, his antennae quivered in what those familiar with Krathan body language recognized as deep, unsettled respect. Leave it blood-stained, Student Chen, he said softly. I believe we all need to understand exactly what humanity brings to the consortium. Marcus nodded and stepped back from his display. In the silence that followed, every student in the hall looked at the human among them with new eyes, realizing that Earth's admission to the Galactic Consortium had added something unprecedented to their peaceful civilization, a species that had never forgotten how to be warriors, because they had never stopped being warriors. The assignment had been to recreate ancient armor. Marcus Chen had done something far more unsettling. He had revealed that for humans, the warrior's path had no ancient history. It was simply history, unbroken and continuing, marked in scars and stains that no amount of time could truly wash away.